Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at how the US E-minis unfolded yesterday, well, it was actually Friday, the 12th of August. In particular, I'd like to have a look at our VS or volume spike setup that now the very low of the day for you on the ES. First of all, I'd like to remind you that we no longer use our STF indicator, our strong trend filter. We now do manual analysis on higher time frame charts, and we have a new MTP trend indicator that I'll give you a little glimpse of in our new NinjaTrader 8 add-ons a bit later in the video. So let's go and have a look at the setups. First of all, there were two setups here earlier in the day. They were with the STF and the large degree trend. The first one was a very horrible move up here into this TS1 cell that would have actually been a losing trade. Remember, we're not scared of losing trades. We know that losses can, will and do happen. The trick is keeping them small. That's why we use correct position size and to vary the number of lots, contracts or shares to keep the initial risk small. In this case, less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. Then we actually had another losing trade here. Yes, losing trades do unfold. They can unfold. They always will unfold. But as I said, we mustn't be afraid of these as professional traders. The trick is just keeping them small. But what I want to do is have a look at what happened here. This was very interesting. I just want to use our bar replay mode and go back to here and show you what happened. What we're looking at is a move below or beyond an important psychological pivot, high or low. In this case, I'll put a tag on the previous low earlier in the day. If I move forward one bar, can you see how this bar here went through the low? Clearly a significant break on high volume. That's our VS setup coming in, telling you there's unusual volume going on here. Most amateur traders would look at this and say, high volume on a break to new lows, I want to sell that. But we have an advantage, is that we have a support zone that we can have on our chart. Now this could have actually been on the chart in advance. So before the market even broke down here, you could have actually known that this area was an area of potential support. It even tells you that it's major support. And I'll show you on the 15-minute chart a bit later that this was actually 15-minute support as well. So what's the VS setup? Well, if we move forward one bar later, can you see how the market failed to follow through? In other words, it failed to keep on going down. More importantly, it failed to keep on going down at our support zone. So that tells us the volume, or the unusually high volume on the bar before, was not selling, it was actually buying by professionals. And those professionals were stepping in and doing a fake out for the amateur traders who were then looking to go short, but they were then going long off those amateur shorts and now looking to move the market higher. So how do we trade this? Well, we look to a target of our last swing to the low, which would be here. The next one up would be off here. As you can see, these levels are on the chart in advance. Let's put the risk reward in around this blue buy bar to the first target here. And even at this really small target here, there was a potential profit of 3.4R. That's why we're not scared of losses, because both of these losses earlier would have been minus 1R. If the market gets to this profitable here, this one trade at plus 3R will more than make up for the two prior losing trades and make you money overall. So let's see what happened. Let's exit replay trading mode here, and that's exactly what the market did. Can you see that? Went up to that initial target where a profit of approximately 3.4R was available. But just look at that. That actually nailed the very low of the day for you. People say it's impossible to catch highs and lows of the day. Well, here we are. Had a zone on our chart in advance that nailed the low, and had a VS setup that nailed the very bar of the low. Why did I like this setup probably more than these previous ones? Is, well, this was a lovely clear move beyond a prior low and a good reversal. Also on the NQ, we had exactly the same thing coming in exactly the same time, which was this bar here. And on the NQ, on a slightly higher time frame, at exactly the same time, we actually had an automatic TS4 buy setup. On the YM, as the move came down here, if I right mouse click at this low, do Elliott wave intermediate, can you see how this was the end of a 5-wave sequence? All at the same time, unfolding at the same time as the ES, which was at the 13.6 and 13.09 bars yesterday. So the 3 E-minis were telling you the same thing. Let's have a look at the 15-minute chart on the YM. Again, that was coming in as potential support on a TS3 buy setup. I'll just go back to the 3-minute chart and show you on the 15-minute chart for those of you who use the multi-time frame analysis. Here's my analysis from yesterday. I'll just clear everything off. If I take that one off, there's the previous 15-minute pivot. Do the decision point. Can you see how that came in and now the low of the day as well? So that's what I talk about when I say the setups that I like, in that everything is telling you the same thing. So can you see that? How here the ES was telling you that you were getting a VS buy setup. The NQ was telling you that it was a buy setup on the 5-minute chart. The YM was also at 15-minute support, and also on the 3-minute chart was at an area where the decline was likely to unfold. So all markets were coming in sync and telling you the same thing. That gives you added confidence. Now, of course, wouldn't it be nice if this was automatically highlighted for you on the chart and in the scanner? Well, if we go out to our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons, here's the chart on the ES. There's the previous sell setups, but look at this. This is our new VS or volume spike setup that came in here and nailed this low for you. So it actually told you that that was an automatic buy setup and therefore to go long. If we look at our MTP trend indicator as well, is that just look at this. Even though it's red earlier in the day, as soon as we came into this low here, it turned black. In other words, it was an area of where the market was anticipated to make a reversal, or an area of where a reversal was possible. So rather than the old STF, do you remember I showed you the STF colour, which was red right the way up here? In other words, changes colour late. Like most indicators, our new MTP trend indicator will change trend a lot or change colour a lot quicker. What does this work off? Well, the prior major swings. So if I do the DP off that prior swing, it looks at this, and as soon as the market enters the support zone, it then changes colour and gives you an idea or a warning that the market may well be in an area where a reversal was possible. So can you see how now this VS setup is a good one to take, because not only is it with the professional volume, it's also at higher time frame or major support like that. And as I've said as well, all 3 US E-minis were telling you exactly the same thing, all coming in there together. In fact, actually, just have a peek at the Russell Index, and there it is. Look, the Russell Index, exactly the same time, was coming into major support. There was my analysis I was doing yesterday on the Russell Index. If we look at the 24-hour chart, exactly the same thing as well. There's your 15-minute support coming in at the low of the day yesterday, which is again around our 1 o'clock area. And if I go out to the 3-minute chart, there's exactly the same thing, the support coming in there as well. So again, this is what I like. I like when loads of things are coming in and telling you the same thing. In other words, the picture's the same on the different markets, and it gives you added confidence. But this is why I wanted to go over this today, to show you the VS setup, the volume spike as we call it in MTPredictor, to show you why that's a good setup, because it gets you in the direction of the professional money and avoids fake outs like that. And as you can see here, allowed you to nail the very low of the day. And also giving you a little sneak preview to show you that that setup is coming in our new MTPredictor 8 add-ons there, which was again nailing the very low of the day for you. So a great trade on MTPredictor yesterday on the US E-minis, in particular the ES.